Welcome back to another episode of Black Girls Texting. It's me, Sade. Sorry for any background noise. Can't find my mic. I'm joined by Bedside Brat, and Chelsea Pinky. I'm going to kick off our read or reply. I have nothing to reply to, and I'm leaving everything on red. I'm extremely busy. I am tired. My back hurts. My knees hurt. My ankles hurt. Yeah. How
Ankles?
about you guys?
What you was doing?
How your
You was
ankles
dancing
hurt?
to thought shit? What you was doing?
Wearing heels, running around is complicated. But yeah, what about you ladies?
Okay, so my reply this week is just for some things happening in culture. A lot of my favorite shows are back on. Betty, Generation, Dave. I just started watching the
Glenn.
show. What is that? What you were gonna do?
Literally, I have a list of my shows.
Oh my god, I was about to recommend shows.
No, go ahead.
Chelsea, maybe we should just have like a segment one day.
Yes.
So I love this show called Blind Spotting on Stars. It's based off of the film Blind Spotting, and it's Daveed Diggs is in it from Hamilton, and then Jasmine Cephas Jones and what's the dude's name? Sade, you love this man. I always forget his name. He's in the Heights. The main actor,
Anthony Ramos.
Anthony
Why do I
Ramos.
love him?
I feel like you've said that before. You're like, I love Anthony Ramos. He makes an appearance in it, but it's kind of cool because they're all from Hamilton. And Daveed Diggs made this show, and it takes place in Oakland, where this woman's boyfriend gets locked up on like Molly possession, and she goes and stays with their family. But it's like kind of a musical. There's like these moments where there's monologues and like spoken word. It's like genre bending. It's really, really, really cool. I like it a lot. And then music I'm feeling right now is Her's new album. She's just so soulful. I just love her. There's this song called Process that I keep listening to over and over and over, which is just like the song to play when people have tried you way too much. So I recommend.
Oh.
And then also I'm loving Thought Shit, this Megan Thee Stallion. You know, I've talked about in the past how I just haven't been feeling a lot of her recent projects, but that shit I'm really into. I think it's because she's going back to her whole like Tina Snow rapping like really hard and just being very bossy. And the video is crazy. Have y'all seen the video?
No, not yet.
Oh my God, bitch. I'm just going to tell you, maybe let me not spoil it. The video is absolutely insane. It's insane.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, I recommend. And then on Red, I mentioned to Sade and Chelsea this, but I went to get my hair braided this weekend, just some simple straight backs. I have one long dreadlock at the back of my head that I started growing almost 10 years ago when I went on a trip to Thailand, met this Thai Rasta, almost joined a cult with him or harem. That's another story, but he did locks, and I asked him to lock a piece of my hair in the back of my head, and it has since grown mad long, and I've been wanting to cut it anyway, but that did not give this woman an excuse to just take out a pair of scissors and snip my shit when the assignment was to give me 8 straight back braids, and she cut my dreadlock in half. It was just out of nowhere,
credit.
a loud ass snip. Girl, I was appalled. It was traumatic, honestly. Whew. Okay. Anyway, Chelsea, your go.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so as I mentioned, since I love TV and apparently Glenn is trying to steal my TV thunder, I also was gonna reply to a few TV shows. Betty, which you already mentioned, I just love that show. I want to learn how to be a skateboarder. I love how I get to like see my city. I love anything that I get to see New York in. Also Flatbush Misdemeanors on Showtime. Again, I get to see my neighborhood. It's very like quirky comedy, but like I just like it because there's like so many things that I can relate to. Like they talk about the corn soup special and like, I don't know, I love it. In the Heights, which is a film on HBO, it's been very controversial. And maybe we should like do an episode about that. But overall, I enjoyed it. I was bawling, called my mother and said, thank you for all the sacrifices of immigrating to this country. Then Run the World on Stars, another New York show. It takes place in Harlem, though, which
I like getting to see Harlem through the show.
Yes, I like it. I actually went to Harlem yesterday, and I actually ended up at a bar that was in the show, which was really cool. But I do kind of wish like the characters like lived like Harlem, Brooklyn, maybe like somewhere in Lower Manhattan, but whatever. It's a Harlem-based show, kind of like a, I guess if I had to compare, like a Sex in the City, Girlfriends type, for friends kind of show. And then another thing I'm replying to, which I guess this could be Black Girl doing shit, but I just want to reply to it, is Maya marrying herself. Did you guys see that?
Who?
Maya, the singer, like,
You're lying. She did?
yes, she married herself, full wedding gown.
I stan.
Yeah, I think it's like super cool. I think more women should consider that. Yeah,
I
would
need
you
to look
guys
this
would
up.
you ever marry yourself?
Yeah, like symbolically. Actually, someone we know married themselves. One of Paz's friends had a like
I
a
don't know about
self-commitment
that.
ceremony. Just like symbolically, like maybe as a birthday party or something. I would marry
I'm
myself.
rolling my eyes. The point of marriage is for a tax write-off. So
Ma'am.
come on now. I can't do that with myself.
I think it'd be fire. I'm
Like a
not mad at
white
it.
gown and everything.
And just throw a party and just like give vows to yourself. Like I vow to continue taking care of my body. I vow to
No,
like whatever. It's cute.
that's a no for me personally, but go forth and
Go off,
prosper.
queen.
Go off, Maya. And then something that I'm leaving on red. Well, two things. Sorry, I'm doubling up this week. The first thing is white people getting Juneteenth off. This past weekend was Juneteenth. I'm confused why white people get the day off, personally. I think it's a little backwards. I think if
Doesn't
anything,
make
they should be working for free.
well, you know, Kamala was like holidays, and this is the thing that makes that because eventually it's already started to become like monetized and capitalized upon. But she was saying like holidays are moments that we're supposed to reflect and sit back and so like white people on Juneteenth have been charged to like think about their place in society, and then Black people are supposed to rest. But you know,
They weren't though. They were
white
in the
people gonna be
Hamptons.
partying.
Yeah, in the Hamptons
They
with
were
like
at our
Magnum
events.
rosé bottles. It didn't seem like there was much reflection that I saw. So it was just another day off for them, which doesn't make sense to me. I also saw this like tweet that Marjan posted that I just want to share related to that topic. She is from Texas, as we know, and she said, someone tweeted, "My mom recently told me that the first year Juneteenth became a holiday in Texas, the white medical staffers all took off to force their Black counterparts to work that day. That vileness still permeates Texas nationwide. And that's so depressing but she also said we need to celebrate Juneteenth anyways.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
I
And
mean,
then
that was so sickening. I was like, wow, y'all.
yeah, it was wild. And then yeah, I'll just leave that on red for now.
My feelings on Juneteenth are just steadily developing. I don't know. We'll just see how I feel next year because it's a thing now.
Yeah, wait, can I just tell you something else about Juneteenth?
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw it and I also thought this was super interesting. So as our listeners should know by now, I have no American, like, United States blood in my veins. Um, and someone tweeted, LMAO, I said what I said. Juneteenth is not for Africans, West Indians, Afro Latinos, none of that. While the diaspora as a whole was affected by slavery/forced migration, that does not make us all descendants of chattel slavery. That only happened in the US. I wondered your
Woo!
thoughts on that.
So, I mean, this could be partially a hotline bling, but somebody texted me that same shit.
Someone
That's not
texted that to you?
accurate.
Yeah,
There
it's
is
not.
chattel slavery
Yeah.
everywhere.
Chattel
It's a different
slavery is the
kind.
term, right? But but Juneteenth is in honor of the emancipation of enslaved people in America,
Right, in
officially
Texas.
in Texas.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just symbolic of a larger thing, which then I wonder like how people in Texas feel. Like, is it just being co-opted? Do we even know how they really celebrate it there? It's still quite local for them, you know?
Right. Like, could a Texan then say, why are people in New York celebrating Juneteenth? Like, it's so silly to me because, yes, these aren't my direct descendants, but they're still my descendants. Like, they're the cousins and
Yeah.
brothers and husbands or wives of the people that were dropped off in Trinidad. So, and I'm not saying that I'm centering what happened in my country, but I do think it's beautiful to celebrate all Black liberation. Like, I
Right.
want to celebrate Haitian Independence Day. I
Right.
want to celebrate all of it. So I just think these diaspora wars are fucking weird. And like at first it was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna think critically about this. But like now I'm just getting like annoyed by it. Like, we're all Black. This is so stupid.
Where are your
We
ADOS
live
But
in
yeah,
friends?
America.
I'm off that app.
You deleted Clubhouse?
No, I didn't.
No, but yeah, I mean, we're all here, right? So we can celebrate this holiday that is of the diaspora. If you're a Caribbean person living in America, an African person living in America, I don't know.
And
Also, it's silly. Everyone's so mixed up. Like everyone is some Caribbean, some
I'm
potentially
not
Latin
Caribbean.
American. Okay, a lot of people. So many
no,
people
but
are.
it's not necessarily that you're Caribbean, but like your descendants are related to my
That
descendants.
is
They
true.
they split up families.
That
Like,
too.
That
we're
is
the
true.
That part.
same
That
people.
part.
Just like over years we might have changed and mixed a little differently, but we come from the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah. Um yeah, so that was it. That was my red.
Glenn said, I'm not Caribbean.
I know I said that quick. Sorry.
No, I would never call myself African American,
Right.
but I know your descendants are still related to my descendants, which would make us related.
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct. Ooh, yeah. I mean, someone was texting me about that, and it was on Juneteenth day, and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for all
What
of
did
this
they
right
say?
now. The same thing as that tweet.
And
Like,
this is your hotline
I mean, I
blinging with
guess it
Was
got
it
the
a
hot.
was it an American
topics.
or a
It
West Indian?
was an American that also has like Caribbean people in their family. So and Afro Latinos. So I was like, sir. I mean, let's just.
Is this who I think it is?
Mhm.
Wow.
Can I get a hint?
The man upstairs.
I was gonna
Oh,
say the neighbor knows her
not God.
name.
not God. But yeah, I mean that was one thing. I mean, I said my feelings about Juneteenth are just ever evolving, ever evolving. I will say that another other ways that my hotline are blinging, and this will be for a later episode. I've hinted at this, like I think on the last episode. So many things have changed in my romantic life, and that man with the child I'm no longer involved with. So I'm really being a lot more intentional in these streets. And ironically, when Sade and I did our little challenge a couple weeks back when we had to meet all these men that ticked all these different boxes, Chelsea and I were at the same like Juneteenth celebration this weekend. This boy came up to me and was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Hi." He's like, "You don't remember me?" I'm like, "Should I remember you?" Apparently, he was one of the boys that checked the box for me. But baby, let me tell you, the young man looked very different in the light. I was like, you was whole time you were fine. I should
You
not have
did
just
say
made
that.
you did you overhear me talking to him? I was saying all kind of nonsense to the young man.
No, I didn't.
Um,
You didn't. I didn't see him, but afterwards you were like, "That was the guy. He's fine."
he is fine, girl. So yes, now he's in my phone. I was like, well, you know what? I guess I already got your number. He was like, yeah, you do. So there's that on that.
I
Anyway,
don't know if I can forgive him for that
bless.
pickup line though.
what pickup line?
Was he the one that said, "If you want this big"?
Hell no, not
Oh,
him. No,
okay.
no.
Okay.
This was a very nice young man.
Okay.
Very nice young man.
Good. That's
I'll send you his
beautiful.
page. He's a nice looking brother.
Yeah. Um,
Brother.
so today for our Black Girl Doing Shit, I'm so excited. We have Abby Phillip. She's a CNN senior political correspondent and anchor of Inside Politics on Sundays. That's an hour-long, in-depth conversation of the week's most important political storylines. She's just a beautiful Black, intelligent, extremely poised, mother to be, wife, Trinidadian woman. And I am so excited that she's on. I'm so excited for you all to hear this conversation. We talk about all sorts of things from activism and politics to um, Black politicians to
Can you wear a bonnet outside?
Can you wear a bonnet outside? That time Trump told her that she asked really stupid questions, so disrespectful and crusty. But yeah, I'm so excited for you all to listen to the combo. Okay. Abby, we are so excited to have you. And I have to say, from the moment we saw you on television, we were obsessed. You are this young Black woman who is beautiful and poised and always just like understands the assignment, as they say. And you really represent like the utmost like professionalism in every situation. I also feel personally connected because I found out that you're Trinidadian. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
Shout out Trini to
Blah,
the
blah, blah,
bone.
Trini girl.
But I was wondering, I wanted to talk about a few things. So basically our group chat, we talk about everything from like how to start an IRA to like boys to like work, how to quit a job. I'm having to do that now, which I'm terrified about.
Right. That is very important.
Yeah. Any advice on how to quit? Because I have to do that.
I mean, first of all, I'm very in favor of quitting jobs. I think that's important to do. You got to just rip the Band-Aid off. You really do.
Yeah.
But it just depends on your situation, because like sometimes what you really want to do is like, you want to see kind of where your current employer is coming in terms of, do they value you? Do they want you to stay? So sometimes you might come to them when you haven't accepted your offer yet and just let them know that you're thinking about it. And then they might come back to you and say, hey, we love you. We want to keep you. Here's a raise. That's a great way to move up and, and get more money out of a situation. But I've been in a situation probably more times where I'm like, I'm ready to go. There's nothing you can say or do to keep me here. Accept my offer, go into the room and say, I've made this decision. And it's really, I'm very, just not risk averse, but just averse to confrontation. So it's always very anxiety producing to do that. Yeah. But you just need to do it. And you probably should, when you're really, really sure you need to go, make sure you do it when you've accepted your offer, you're like ready to go. Otherwise you might find yourself being like, oh, well, I guess maybe I could stay. And that's not necessarily what you want out of a situation. So
yeah, I'm struggling right now because, she might hear this, but my current boss is this amazing, like really smart Black woman. I've never really had a Black woman boss, but I just got another offer. And so I'm going to have to quit. And I'm so anxious about it. Anyways. But you're also, so I want to ask like silly questions and serious questions. So I'm going to start with a silly question. Any opinions on Black women wearing bonnets in public?
The hot topic.
As you said, I'm Trinidadian, so that's the type of thing that my grandmother would have been like, excuse me, like you do not wear your bonnet outside of the house. You don't even wear your bonnet really outside of the bedroom in my grandmother's world, to be honest. But I actually don't believe in that. I feel like if you're in your home, you can do whatever you want to do. It's your house, it's your hair. But I feel like they can stay at home. like we don't really need to be wearing the shower caps outside, or the bonnets outside. I think it's okay.
I know people say that they wear them on airplanes, and because it's dry up there. You protect your hair. You're gonna be leaning your head against the window.
I have done that on like a business class flight, like if I'm in a pod.
Right. No one can see.
Which is my bedroom for the night. But I don't know that I'm really doing that. There are other methods to protect your hair. Let's put it that way.
You could do like a chic scarf. Is that
allowed? Or like a bandana, or like something to protect your edges or whatever it is that you want to do. But you know what? Whatever. Do you? I feel like people who are truly free are probably wearing their bonnets outside, which is fine.
Yeah. You could always get one of Robin from Housewives of Potomac. Her little hat has a silk.
Right.
What are they called?
Silk inside.
I did think that was a great idea.
Yeah, like you could get a cute silk inside hat, but I agree. No bonnets outside for me. Okay, a serious question now. You are a Harvard grad and you have your own show on Inside Politics on CNN. Um, and I just wonder how you manage like keeping your composure. Like as a Black woman, we just saw we're Housewives fans here. I'm not sure if you're a
Yeah, I
Housewives
am
fan.
as well.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
ma'am.
So we just saw Ebony K. Williams, the first Black New York housewife, kind of
Mm,
have to defend herself for reacting. She was called angry,
Yeah.
which we know is kind of like a racist trope used against Black women specifically. So, how do you manage keeping your composure when people are disrespectful? Like when Donald
Mhm.
Trump was disrespectful and said that you were asking stupid questions, for example. How do you
mhm.
keep your cool in those moments?
Well, I'm sympathetic to Ebony because first of all, that's the whole thing about these shows is that you're supposed to be kind of like, interesting. And in order to be
Mhm.
interesting, you have to be unafraid of confrontation. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it's fair to be critical of people in that kind of setting, when that's the whole point of the show.
Right.
And so there's that. And but in my world, like as a journalist, I don't really feel the need to ever get to that level. I'm not an activist. I'm not a partisan. So I play a different role in the ecosystem.
Mm.
And that's the first thing that makes my life different from, other people who you might see on television, which is that I'm not there to like get in a huge fight with like Rick Santorum or like,
Mm-hmm.
or whoever it is. Like that's not my job. And I have always found, journalism aside, that you kill them with kindness. And I think sometimes the most disarming and unsettling thing to people is when you are calm, when
Right.
they
Mm.
are being crazy,
Yeah.
or when you come armed with the facts, when they are trying to get under your skin. I have always tried to default to a calm place because I find that that is way more effective against bad faith actors or people who are trying to just stir things up, whether it's on TV or on Twitter, which I've experienced before. I've had people, you know, I've had all kinds of people come after me, whether it's Donald Trump or, uh, you know, Democratic staffers on social media. I've had people try to come at me in all kinds of crazy ways, and I've always responded by just trying to be professional and calm. And at the end of the day, it kind of makes them look stupid
Mm.
Yeah.
because they look like they are out of control or that they just lack a certain degree of civility. And I think that there should be a little bit more civility, but that's just my approach. I'm not faulting anyone for when they're angry, being angry, because I think as Black women, we have a right to be angry too.
Mhm.
We have a right to show our emotions too. But my personal approach, and this has been true, I think, for most of my, like adult life, maybe even my teen years, was that I've just found that when dealing with situations of confrontation, staying calm and coming at the situation factually and soberly is often very disconcerting to people, and it's easier to win the argument that way.
Mhm. Something I've noticed in like a lot of praise that you get. I was watching some of your like highlight reels, and people in the comments are always saying like how professional you are, how you keep your cool. But they also say that you're so articulate. And in this episode, the past episode with uh who we were just talking about, Ebony K.
Ebony.
Williams,
Yeah.
someone called her articulate on the
Heather.
episode, Heather, and everybody was
Mhm.
like, ooh. And I've wondered if anyone's ever said that to you. How do you take that? How do you receive
Yeah,
that
I mean,
commentary?
I'm sure people have said that to me about me. Um, how do I receive it? I mean,
Yeah.
I I feel like I there's a little bit of like an eye roll because it's always surprising to people when Black people surprise them.
Mm.
And that, I don't want to say that it doesn't make you racist. It just means that your ability to see people of color in different spaces, in different roles, to believe that they have as much ability as other people is limited. And sometimes for people, it's limited because of their experience. They don't interact with Black people that often, or with brown people that often. And and I've seen, honestly, I've seen like some white people do this to Black folks totally inadvertently.
Mm-hmm.
All they're trying to say is, I really liked what you said. I really thought you said it really well in a way that I couldn't have said it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I am sympathetic to that. I get it. Articulate is obviously probably not the word. Like, we can avoid that word, but sometimes it's just a reaction to being impressed by someone. It's okay to be impressed by someone, but the undercurrent for Black folks is always that you're impressed by them because you're surprised that it happened.
Right.
And that's not unusual. I mean, I think that I've encountered that a lot in people in my career, in my life, people constantly being surprised to see me show up or walk into a room, or that even the way that sometimes people will say, I'm so happy that CNN decided to promote you, or they'll say things that kind of imply that that it was sort of like I think that when white men are promoted, it's immediately believed to be well deserved.
Yes.
When Black people, Black women are promoted, it's sort of like you're given a shot, like they're taking a chance
It's like
on
a
you.
chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a different kind of tone to it. And I don't think people mean it that way necessarily, but that's the undercurrent of it. And that's pretty common too. Do I let any of this affect me? I mean, really, no, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, that makes me think of, I'm trying to remember her name. She's the senator. She always speaks out about Asian, rights. I believe she's in a wheelchair. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm
Tammy
speaking.
Duckworth. Yeah.
Okay, I'm speaking to you. I should know
No,
this.
no.
But she was speaking about how, there should be Asian representation in politics. And on The View, which is another show that I love, Meghan McCain was basically like, we shouldn't pick people based on race. And I was so offended by that statement, because I was like, she never said pick people by race. Like, there are enough qualified people of color who can take up these seats. So it's, as you mentioned, it's just like this assumption that if you get into this high position, somehow it's just like, you got the chance probably because of your race,
Right. Yeah. That it was like a game of, someone sort of rescued you or picked you out of like obscurity and said, here's your shot, as opposed to you worked your way up, you deserve it, just like everybody else who's worked their way up deserves
Right.
it or has proven themselves, etc. And yeah, I mean, I think that situation with The View is really emblematic. I think I said, on Twitter after she said that, I was like, there have been more View co-hosts who are the daughters of famous people than View co-hosts who were Asian American. That's not a meritocracy under any circumstances. There's no way you can tell me that is because the daughters of famous people deserved it, worked harder, were smarter, were better qualified than any number of Asian people in this country. So it doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not even just with jobs. Like, I'm thinking about schools. I know you went to, probably the best school in our country. And, people say that when you're in the classroom. I remember when you guys probably experienced this, or Sade probably at Trinity, but when you're in school, someone's like, oh, you got here because you're Black. And I'm like, and you got here because your dad went here and bought the library.
Boom.
Right, exactly.
What a great clap back. We should be pulling that clap back out a bit more,
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's funny because just real quick, having gone to Harvard, I was like so late to the train about like going to school with people whose parents were doing something. So I would always be surprised. I'd be like, oh, your dad is like the guy whose name is on the library, and like, and by the time I graduated, I realized, okay, like there's probably a good 30%, and actually that's not an exaggeration. There's like a good 30% of
Yeah.
students at Harvard who are somebody's kid.
Right.
And legacy in one way, shape, or form. And that's extraordinary. And then you have people like crying about affirmative action. It's like the real issue in these Ivy League schools is not affirmative action. It's all the kids who get in because their parents donated $100,000 to the school.
Yeah.
Do you guys get those like lists? And then on ours, it'll always say like P and then the year. So that kind of is indicative of like,
parent.
yeah, like, and so we'll always get these lists and it'll be like such and such the third. And it's like P57, P da da da. And it's like their grandparents. It's like, yeah.
I did not know that was a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what? More power to them. We're all fighting to give our kids a better opportunity in the next generation. So.
Correct. I mean,
I know. I'm sure you want your future baby going to Harvard.
Something, whatever. Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's really, I mean, Black folks, sure, we might say like, let's get rid of legacies, but I think we also just want to have the chance to create a legacy for our kids too.
Yeah.
It's really, that's really what it's about.
I'm pulling out the
Black nepotism.
I don't care. Let's go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, silly question. Should we cancel Cater to You, the Destiny's Child song?
I have always found that song to be a little problematic. I'm not gonna lie.
Problematic.
Do you think Bills is problematic?
No.
That's harder. I mean, I definitely had more of a problem with Cater to You than Bills. Because I felt like Bills was like a little bit more empowering. It was kind of like, you can't mooch off of me. You need to at least be able to pay your own bills.
This is
I
true.
think so. Is that what they're saying?
I think she says you have to pay my bills.
I don't know. She said you gotta
No,
pay.
because when you hear all the lyrics, she's like, you ask to use my car, you drive it all day, you don't fill up the tank.
Oh, so can you
She
pay
has
my
her
bill?
stuff.
You have the
Can you pay-
audacity
right.
to come and step to me and ask to hold some money from me until you get your check next week.
Right. I
reading
mean, I
the
think
lyrics?
the thing about
I know the lyrics.
How you know those lyrics? Wow.
Because I am a real child of the 90s.
Okay.
I don't know about you.
I wouldn't even pull that off my
I
head
would
like that.
agree. I feel like, look, the theme of bills is, it's not so much, it is a little bit, can you pay my bills? But it's really, you can't pay your bills.
Correct.
And so you're mooching off of me. Cater to You, I don't know. I've never like really identified with that song. And I think now maybe we're realizing that because it's a little bit problematic. But that being said, I mean, if you're in a committed relationship, then I actually think catering to someone in the committed relationship is perfectly fine. It just needs to be a two-way street. That's all.
Absolutely.
And we don't know what came before that. I assume in the context of the song that it's a mutual thing. Maybe it's really the tone of like, I would die if you weren't there.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's
Mom
definitely
died.
the whole like, I'm gonna maintain my weight lyric.
You're lying. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
See,
that's
yeah,
in Kelly's verse.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's wrong with
Yeah.
staying fit?
There's
no,
nothing
but
wrong
it's
with
like for
staying
who?
fit.
But not for.
Actually, I'm not kidding.
But
mean,
I don't know. Cater to You is still a bop. I love the
vocal range and the vocal
vocals are
stylings
great.
on that
Yeah.
song are
Vocal
just so good.
styling.
It's
See,
so
I just
fun
try not to
sing.
pay attention to the lyrics. That's
Right.
all.
It's just fun to do the runs.
Oh my
I
god.
would tie
Wow.
somebody's do-rag. I would love to do that. I would do a couple of those things. You know?
The untie your shoes. That one gets me.
Okay, no, but you could if they have their feet propped up and it's a long day, you
Or
untie
take
their
off your
shoes
shoes.
while we're
Yeah.
talking. Not like I'm bent down on the floor taking your shoes off.
That's
That would be
always how I
extreme.
envisioned it.
Yeah, but maybe Tuesday you're taking off his shoes, and then Wednesday after your long day, he takes off your shoes.
And you're
Take
like on
off
the
his own
couch and
goddamn
your leg
shoes.
is on their lap, you
Right.
know, and we're talking.
I mean,
Alright.
I
Glass
do
of wine.
think that we would be fine with like a man singing a version of Cater to You. Like we would probably be okay with that.
Agreed.
Yes, I'm
Definitely.
sure Tank has
Right.
made a song like that. That sounds like
Right,
something he would
exactly.
do.
Well, maybe.
But also like take it to the next level after that.
He
Right?
absolutely would. It
Talk
would go
about
like
impregnating.
right.
It
It
would be
would
a
go
little bit
left.
more explicit. But yeah, I mean, I just think as long as it's a mutual thing, it's cool. Like whatever. If you want to take off your partner's shoes, fine.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
he
agree.
does say
As long
untie
as
his
he's okay with
shoestrings.
taking yours off sometimes too.
Right,
Yeah. Now
exactly.
the lyrics are in my head. Oh my gosh. I'm very curious on, so we've talked about this in our, not our group chat, I guess, on the phone, within our Instagram chat. So Black Girls Texting, there's levels to all the ways in which we communicate. But Kamala's recent comments around immigration, her being the child of immigrants, we wanted to know your take on that. And especially because I want to say it was Mark Lamont Hill who I really like how he spoke on his opinions, but also said, you know, we're not going to let anyone disrespect her. And it's like always towing this line, I think, as Black women, of being like, okay, I personally didn't like what she said, but I'm also not going to let people start calling her out of her name. Like that's never going to happen.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's been really interesting to watch, right? This has always been the case with whether it's Kamala Harris or Barack Obama, you know, Black politicians in the Black community, especially, there's often a desire to protect them from bad faith attacks. And there are a lot of bad faith attacks. Like it wasn't long before on Fox News, things got pretty racist, saying that you only became vice president because she was Black and a woman, not mentioning at all that she was an elected prosecutor in the largest state in the country. She was a senator. Like, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. That being said, I mean, look, I feel like we're watching Democrats figure out, oh, okay, like she's the second most powerful person in the country now. She can't be outside of criticism on policy issues. And, you know, the thing about do not come, on the one hand, I thought it was perplexing that she got criticized for that because that is the Biden administration's policy. Okay, like that is what other Biden officials, that's what Joe Biden has said.
Right.
And there was some sort of like expectation almost that she would say something different. And I don't understand why that would be, even though that is the policy of the administration that she is a part of. And so there's that. But then to your point, a lot of people were saying, well, she's the child of immigrants, so she should know better. She should do better. She should say better. I don't know if that's the case. You know what I mean? I think that there are, first of all, a lot of immigrant stories in this country, a lot of ways that people become immigrants in this country. I don't think that it means having just one experience. I think also that regardless of whether she's a child of immigrants or not, I mean, it would have been stranger for her to go to Guatemala and say something completely contrary to the administration's stated policy. So I thought that there was, in some ways, there's often a lot of unfair criticism of her over dumb things. Like, for example, the Memorial Day tweet that she did, in which conservatives criticized her for also she tweeted a Memorial Day commemoration, and then she also tweeted "Have a nice weekend," and they were like, "Oh my God, you know, she hates veterans and the troops and whatever," even not recalling that, you know, for 4 years the former president played golf most Memorial Day weekends and has tweeted, and most of the time would tweet things like completely unrelated to what Memorial Day is all about. So things like that. I mean, sometimes it's on the right. And then on the left, this sort of focusing in on that one comment, which she didn't invent, I thought was interesting too. But Black folks, I think, you know, I mean, frankly, I don't think that that's the way that you handle politicians. You can't give them a pass because you need to protect them. In fact, it's probably in their best interest that they not necessarily be protected in moments like this, so that they can learn and figure it out and go through that experience. Because the thing is, you don't want to, I think that I think that's an interesting strategy if you are in fact someone's ally, to never give them the critique, right?
Mm.
Like, I mean, would you want that from your friends? Like,
Right.
they never
Yeah.
really tell it to you straight. Like, I think that that's really problematic. But it is a real thing that I've heard people tell me about her, and I've seen people tell me about her and about Barack Obama and about other Black politicians, and I don't know that that is serving anyone well.
Yeah. I also feel like, I don't know, when I watched it, I feel like everyone pulled like the "don't come" quote, but I thought when I watched it, I thought she was saying like advising them like the illegal way of coming is dangerous for you. And at the end of the day, when you make it here, you'll be arrested because that's our law. So like, don't come that way. That's what I took from it.
Yeah, I mean, that is that is exactly what they're trying to convey, which is, don't come through Mexico and risk your life or your child's life, more importantly, because this is really problematic, particularly for children who oftentimes make this journey alone. It's very dangerous, and many of them do not make it. Many of them are killed or abused or traumatized on the journey. So that is what they're trying to convey. And but there are a lot of activists in the Democratic Party who don't agree with that message.
And
They just don't. They just don't believe that you should tell people not to come to the border, because they believe that anyone arriving by any means necessary is an act of desperation that deserves to be met with, with sympathy or whatever, or humanitarian aid. And that is true. Once you arrive, we're we're a democratic nation who is supposed to abide by humanitarian laws. Yeah, we are supposed to treat people in a humane way, but I think the administration is trying to say, what about the people who don't make it?
that's what
And
I took.
and what and our message to people who are still at home is, don't take that chance. There are other ways that you can get here. Those are the two sides of the coin.
Yeah, I felt like if she had gotten up there and said, "Come one, come all," that would be so detrimental.
Oh, people would have lost
But my
it
question
too.
is, could she
And-
have just not said anything at all? Like, did she have to speak on the process? I'm guessing because of the
I think
context
they
of the
do.
conversation, she had to say something.
Yeah, I think that she did, because that was a big part of the trip, was to, the reason she went there in the first place was basically to say, we want to stop people from making this journey. And we need to tell people directly. And they're also trying to create pathways internally in those countries so that people can come to seek asylum without having to travel, by train or in caravans or what have you.
Right.
So she had to say something. I mean, that was the whole point of the trip.
yeah. I don't know. I got it. But I also wanted to know, because you mentioned like some of the Democratic politicians and you said the word activist. So I know like people like AOC and the quote unquote, I think this is like not the nicest way to refer to them, but the squad. They're kind of called like activists. Do you think a politician should be an activist?
You know, that's a really interesting question. I think increasingly they are. A lot of politicians started out in like pure activism, like Cory Bush, and others. And I mean, I think even Kamala Harris would describe herself as an activist for certain things. So should they be? I don't know. I
Should
mean,
that should be maybe the core of their
the
work,
problem though is
There's
that
law.
the government is a very different entity than activism. Activism is about pushing, pushing, encouraging, raising awareness for a particular cause. I think that at the end of the day, what becomes challenging when activists go into government is that you need to A, do something.
Mm.
B, it might require compromise. So it might require you maybe diluting or delaying some of your priorities. And getting something done is the responsibility of a politician. It's not just raising awareness. It's not just, you know, putting pressure on a certain situation. It's not just, you know, it's not just kind of talking about something. It's actually doing things, and doing things often in government requires compromise. So I think it's been a tricky and difficult situation for many members of Congress. You mentioned the squad. Many of the members of the squad are dealing with that tension right now. And you know, the question for them that they face, especially many of the freshmen, people like Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman and others, is how much are they willing to compromise to get something done? Are they willing to compromise to get something done? As activists, they might have said, no way, no how, we're not compromising. But as a politician, you serve constituents who are expecting, you know, the question for your constituents is, okay, like let's say you have a choice between a $1,600 check and a $1,200 check. Are you going to take a $0 check or a $1,200 check? Because you know, if you don't get 1,600, are you going to take 0? Or are you going to take 1,200? And I think that that's the challenge for politicians when they get to Washington, is that sometimes you really can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, because change can be incremental, especially when you're talking about government. In government, change is usually not like dramatic and huge, and you know, that's rare. It does happen, but it's rare. Usually it's more incremental than that.
That's what I always wonder, like how we can push things like towards progress, because I feel like you do have to have those people that are like screaming down your throat, but then at the same time they do have to compromise, and then it's like, am I not representing in the best way what I firmly believe in because I have to make these compromises? Like I really don't get like how progress is possible. And I have a lot of like very, very leftist friends that are like, they're like, I'm not voting, I'm not participating in this system, I'm not doing anything, like everything needs to be grassroots. But I'm just like, but then how does anything change?
But
Like
the system
I generally,
exists.
yeah, I
So
generally
what do
don't
you
get
do?
it.
Yeah.
I don't get how it would work. So like, this is a genuine question that I'm always like very stumped on, that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Not that you have all the answers to that.
well, I mean, I think that is like such a, you know, it's such an age-old challenge. And I think it's particularly these days, I see a lot of people kind of grappling with that, or deciding, like you said, that they want to get out of the system altogether because they don't think it works. But my view, my personal view of history is that the system can work, but it really does require incremental progress. I mean, I don't, and maybe people see that and they're not satisfied with it, and they say, let's turn the whole table over until everything changes dramatically. But I just don't see that being the example that history teaches us about how things move forward. That in general, there are, you know, multiple steps toward, you know, freedom and liberation and fairness in this country, whether it is starting with, you know, women getting the right to vote, and then Black people, and then, you know, you know, all of these things have happened over time. And it's, yeah, is it too slow? Absolutely. Was it wrong that it didn't happen at the very beginning? Absolutely. But if people took a step back out of the system and said, we give up on the system altogether, I don't know what would have happened. I think that the progress would have actually stopped. So you need people to keep pushing, and to keep pushing in an incremental way, building on things, building on progress. That's my view of what American history teaches us about how things change. Now, there are obviously revolutions, those are possible, but they're rare. And we've already had one. And we had one in order to create a system of government where incremental change was possible. And so I think within that system, there is still a lot of room for change, and we see it happening all the time. In the last 10 years, we have seen a lot of change in terms of people's attitude toward policing, for example, and not just their attitudes toward policing, but the policies around policing, the policies around incarceration. Those have actually changed over time. And it's because people have constantly pushed and pushed and pushed for reform, for change, for incremental progress. And yes, there are still people out there saying, we have to dismantle the police state, we need to dismantle the carceral state. I get that. Those people have their role. But I think that at the end of the day, you need people who are willing to say, we need to get to a place where this system is no longer used to incarcerate generations of Black folks. And in order to do that, we have to take these 10 steps. And these 10 steps may not happen all at once, but if we get 4 steps this year, 2 steps next year, and 3 steps the year after that, after 3 years, you've made some progress. That's my view of it, but you know, of course, I think that there is a role for people who say we have to, burn the whole place down, because sometimes they create a sense of urgency around issues. They force things forward maybe a little bit faster, but it never is a substitute for incremental change. It just sometimes pushes things a little bit, maybe you skip a step instead of going from beginning to end all in one leap.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know. Yeah. You're going to be such a good mom.
I hope so.
You will be. Okay. I have a silly question. Would you ever get a pet lizard?
Oh, absolutely not.
Wait, is that like a thing?
Yeah.
People do that.
Well, I was.
But also she was attacked.
She was attacked by a lizard on live television.
It is a
Abby
no for
was.
me.
You didn't see that?
You're lying.
It really
so
happened.
I had to ask that question.
No, it's a no for me.
Oh my God. I thought there was like an
Absolutely
Instagram
not.
trend of lizards or something that I missed. That is so scary.
Oh, I hate those things. They're so gross.
Falling, but yeah.
Sorry, I know PETA was coming after me because they.
Oh, I'm
Are you
sure.
They were like, she
serious?
killed the lizard. I was like, look, if I killed that lizard, I would have been even more horrified.
Right.
Because then I would have had lizard guts all over me. No, I just
PETA?
batted the thing away.
I mean,
People were
they can be a
attacking
bit
me.
PETA
extreme.
always pulls up.
Yes.
Wow.
It was startling. Like, what are you supposed to do if a lizard starts climbing on you?
Yeah, it like fell out of the tree and onto me.
Oh my
my
gosh,
God.
I'm not gonna
While
lie.
I was
have to go
live
find
on
this
television.
Video. Oh,
I mean,
It's out
Gosh.
there, trust me. It's
And then in the clip
goodness.
after that, you're like in a rainstorm being beat up, and the whole umbrella is flying off of your head, and
Yes.
you're still just speaking. I was like,
The life of a journalist.
television
Right.
is not always
actually-
the most glamorous. Okay.
Right.
I feel like that's a thing that like all television journalists have to do is like deliver a whole report in the rain or something and like keep it cute. Because I always see that.
Exactly. That
Keep it
is part
cute.
of the test. You have to figure
Yeah.
out how to not let it phase you.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, serious question now. We talk about a lot of things in the group chat that we won't necessarily bring on air just for fear of being canceled.
Mhm.
So, for instance, what's
Mm.
happening in Israel and Palestine? There's just like fears of if you really say how you feel, you might get canceled.
Mhm.
Are there any topics that you just like won't touch?
There are definitely a lot of topics that I don't touch.
Mm.
Let me think about one that I can actually tell you because I feel like there's oh, I don't know.
No
Oh, let me-
pressure.
Let me try to think. I mean, I do honestly, I do try to stay out of that. Israel Palestine is a good, like there are conversations, there are things that I have to talk about at work,
Mhm.
right? And then there are things that I will not talk about with friends because I'm like, don't talk to me about this. Like, y'all can have your arguments, but I'm going to stay out of it. I actually think Israel-Palestine is one of those things. I'm just like, feel free, talk amongst yourselves. I don't need to be a part of that conversation.
It's
I
so
think,
complicated.
yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Let's.
Hence why we
I'm
don't
struggling
touch
to
them.
think about.
Right.
I'm struggling to think about what else. But honestly, I'm sure there's like a long list. Like I cover politics day to day, but and I have a lot of friends who are very political. I live in DC, but I really don't talk to my friends about politics at all. Like,
Can you be friends with someone who has like a huge stark difference in beliefs? Is that
yeah,
like the
yeah.
fear? Or?
I have all kinds. Oh my God, I have all kinds of friends from all over the political spectrum. I just don't. I don't like to talk about politics in my. It happens sometimes, but I don't like to talk about politics in my friend group because, in general, I just don't think that it's necessary for me to do that. Maybe it's because it's my job, but I also just think like there are other interesting things about people other than their political views, and I'd rather talk about those things. So I do kind of have like a pretty like when if you catch me at a party and people start talking to me about politics, I will like fade into the background. Like,
No way.
Like the
please don't talk to
Simpson
me.
meme.
Right. But I'm sure people always
Like
want to.
I'm like blending into the curtains. Like I
Right.
don't want to talk to you about this.
Wait, what's your sign? Because I've noticed that you're you said you're conflict not
Averse.
interested in that. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your zodiac?
This might be confusing, but I mean, I'm a Sagittarius. So,
Interesting.
I mean, I would
Oh.
say that generally speaking, it's not so much that I'm just like, I don't have the time. Like, if I don't deal with you, I don't deal with you. I'm not,
That's on brand
That's
for
a Sag
Sag.
trend. That's a Sag. I'm a Sag. That is correct.
That's on trend.
you know, that's really more of what it is in terms of that. But at the same time, like I said at the beginning about quitting your job, I'm like a big believer in actually doing it, you know? Like the conversation is tough, but I'm like, you got to do what you got to do. And you just have to pull the Band-Aid out, walk into the room, have the conversation as tough as it might be, and just do it. So I'm very like down to business when it comes to things like that. But I'm also not gonna like get into like maybe this is a Sag thing. I feel like sometimes I don't have like all the zodiac rules together, but I mean, I think that in general, my approach to conflict is that I'm not going to get in a fight with you.
Right.
I'm just like, if we are not on the same page, I'm just not going to engage. I'm going to move on. Like, I'm going to remove myself from the situation and be done with you.
Oh yeah. Glenn did that recently.
So that's how I approach it. I'm
Glenn's
not like
Sag, by
a
the
super
way.
emotional. I'm like,
I
we're
agree.
gonna get into this big fight. Like when I have like friend breakups, it's usually like very silent. Like we just part ways.
Oh,
Abby.
no.
We just part ways. Yeah. It's like, I'm not gonna have like a confrontation with you about why we shouldn't be friends anymore.
We just had this whole conversation, like an interview with this friend therapist or friendship coach. And she said, we have to have the conversation.
Oh, really? I mean, maybe
Yes.
that is true. I'm just like,
different strokes for
I don't
different
like doing it
folks.
either, though. Trust me.
yeah, sometimes I'm just like, sometimes we don't need to have a conversation. We've moved in different directions. We're growing apart. And we both know it.
And
So
we know
let's
it,
just
right?
do it.
I believe it.
Bye.
Believe it.
Okay, this is a serious question. It might be one that you won't touch. Do you think America is a racist country?
Ooh.
Damn,
I think
Chelsea.
I know, right?
Ripped off the Band-Aid.
I know. I think America is founded in racism for sure. I don't know that I would say like America is a racist country any more than a lot of other places are racist, because there are a lot of racist places in this world. And and maybe America is no more or no less racist than all of those places, but we have a racist founding and a racist history, and that is 100% true. And so I don't know. I mean, I think I'm like the semantics of it. I'm just kind of like, what does being a racist country mean? Does it mean that it's permanently racist? I don't really think so. I think it just means that there are a lot of racist people who are here, and there are a lot of racist people in a lot of other countries, and that the core of this country's founding was racism.
Mm-hmm.
A certain type of racism that is unique in a lot of ways. But as a daughter of immigrants, I also know that there is a lot of racism in a lot of other places too, and including in other places where slavery was a part of the origin story of those places as well.
Mhm.
So, you know, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, silly fun question. Have you ever been to Trinidadian Carnival? You know it's the best show on earth.
I haven't.
I
I haven't.
mean, I haven't
I
as mental
know.
either.
I was like, Chelsea, neither of you.
No, I used to go every
Did
single
you-
year as a child to
so-
Kitty's Carnival. I
So
grew up
you
going
went as a kid.
In Trinidad?
every year.
Oh, I didn't know you went in Trinidad. I thought you did it.
Yes.
I thought your mom
Did you live
went.
there, Chelsea?
I did not live there, but my
Okay.
father did. He was deported. So I used to go there all the time to visit him. But my mom she's what, like 67 now? My mom goes every year.
Oh,
I'm trying to go with her.
She is Miss Carnival.
yeah. Maybe I will do it. I'm kind of quickly getting into the place in my life where, I'm about to have a child. I don't know that is still acceptable after a certain point. For
Put
me
a little glitter on your
personally,
belly.
I don't know. I don't know, but I've been told by other people that it's totally acceptable to go and that I should just do it. I just, it's a little hard because I'm like, I feel like if I didn't, it would be easier to do it at this stage in my life if I had started earlier, but I didn't.
Gotta
So,
work your way up to that.
Word of warning: start early. If you haven't gone, go.
Yes.
So that you don't end up like me.
It's a life altering experience.
You've
truly.
still got plenty of time.
You got plenty of time.
I highly recommend.
I mean, you might not be as, mobilely functioning as
Right.
back in the day.
And then there's my husband who's like, he like sometimes he'll be like, I want to go. And then he'll be like, I don't want these people anywhere near you. I'm like, honey, we're gonna have to work on that.
They will be.
Yeah, because they just pick something and
Yep,
whine on it.
They do.
Okay, one more serious question. Okay, so whenever there's an election, I have a few questions. I could talk to you all day, but I know we have to let you go. Whenever there's like an election or something, I always like to watch like Fox just to see, because that doesn't align with my personal beliefs. So just to see what people are hearing. And it's like you change depending on what news station you watch, you're getting different information. So how do you feel about how deeply polarized our country's news media is?
I think it's very unfortunate, but I also think that Fox News is a specific type of irresponsible disinformation machine that is different from, there's partisan media, there's people who have opinions or whatever. But what they do, especially what they are doing increasingly now, is very different. It's created a kind of alternative universe in which you're getting all this anti-vaxxer stuff and all of these lies about the election and so on and so forth. I think that's a particular brand of dysfunction that is terrible for this country. It is terrible for this country. I think that as a journalist in general, I wish that more journalism were, it's not about objectivity. It's just about, truthfulness and being straightforward with the audience. I think actually it's okay to, have people on who are partisans who disclose their political views. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, I think that I don't like this straight down the middle stuff because I think that that's like kind of silly, but I just think that media that is more focused on facts and less focused on, kind of carrying water for a particular political party is better.
Mhm.
And so that doesn't mean being like somewhere down the middle where like each side gets half the pie. That's not how the facts work.
Mhm.
Sometimes like one side doesn't get half the pie when they're lying. Okay.
Right.
Like they get less than half the pie. So that's fine. But carrying water for political parties, I think is really unhelpful to anyone. And I wish there were less of that. But I also think that, I think that Fox News is a different animal, and they're doing things to an extreme degree that is, and it's not just them. I mean, there's like OANN and Newsmax and whatever these channels are that are pitching themselves as conservative news, but are selling lies to their audience. And I think that is really dangerous.
Extremely.
It really is. Well, Abby, thank you for coming on. Thank you for, I don't know if you know you're doing this, but representing. I don't want to put that pressure on you, but you're doing a great job.
Making us proud.
Thank you.
Making us proud. And I'm so happy for you and your future new baby. And you're welcome to the group chat absolutely anytime.
Oh, thank you so much. The group
Yes,
chat
thanks
sounds
for
like so much
joining.
fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll find you at Carnival one day.
I
You never
know, I know. I'll try to work on that.
Yes, you have to go. It's in
Obviously.
your blood.
Yes, it is. It really is. Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Have
Abby,
a great
take
rest of
care.
your day.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So, for what would you do? I got a very interesting letter. So it says, "Hey BGT, my friend's boyfriend always tweets and Instagrams really wild shit. He's definitely a Trump supporter. He's black and believes in QAnon. I'm very confused because
Lord.
I'm very confused because my friend is not like this at all, but they've been dating and his Instagram and Twitter really worry me. What should I do? Can I be friends with this guy? Should I just stay clear? Can I still be friends with her if she's dating someone like this? Any advice on how to move forward?"
Don't bring him around me.
Him, dump her. QAnon? It'd be one thing if you were like, oh yeah, okay, I voted for Trump. QAnon, my nigga? Nah.
Like,
Even
are
I'm a
you
little
dumb?
concerned. Yeah, it's like, are you dumb? Also, like, I'm a little scared. I wouldn't go to their house. She could meet me outside. That's it. I don't know if I'm cutting off her, really, as long as we are sure that she doesn't share those same beliefs. But
How
don't
could you
bring him
not?
around me.
And your man supports QAnon.
Some people be involved with all kind of crazy people. Listen, okay?
No.
We've heard it on this show before.
That has got to go. You're on mute, girlfriend.
Oh, I was talking to myself. Yeah, I might have to dump her. Seems like she's a bad judge of character.
Ooh.
I don't know. That's weird. And he's black.
Where do you meet somebody like that?
Right.
Y'all
Just-
know,
Where
y'all
did
know
you-
the
where you
Proud
found
Boys
him?
leader is Cuban, like a
Oh,
black
yeah.
Cuban.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna say Cuban. That makes sense. but you
No,
said
no, a black
He's
Cuban.
a black Cuban. I think he's a little. No,
He's
he's
a
not.
black. No, he
Well,
is a
Glenn, you
black
don't think
Cuban.
light skinned people are black? That's
I
probably
ain't never
why.
say
He's
that.
light skinned.
Who said that? No, I said that the girl from In the Heights, the lead. I don't know. I need to see. I need more evidence. But Afro Latina, I'm not sure.
Wow.
Not sure.
Look at that hair texture.
That was a wig.
It
That was
not
a terrible
a
lace front
wig.
in that film.
It wasn't a wig when they wet it. I saw it from the root curling up.
That was a different
Girl,
scene.
stop.
They must have did something.
Anyway, she's black.
That shit looks like a crazy ass wig to me.
So yeah, good luck, sis. I don't want
Mm-mm-mm.
that type of violence in my life.
Man,
But
you better
up
watch
to you.
out. He'll be sending bomb threats and shit.
No, that's the thing I'm concerned with, because those be the people that will join the
Storm the Capitol.
fight. Exactly.
And then your friend is out here.
You might have mad
And
weapons
they're gonna
in
be
the house.
like,
Oh God.
the NIGGER did it.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. No, no.
Good luck, sistren. Good luck.
Not your
Dump him
QAnon
and
friend.
dump your friend.
Yeah, bye.
So if you need more advice, email us at hello@blackgirlstexting.com. You can also slide up in the DMs on Instagram at Black Girls Texting. You can also send us a tweet at Black Girls Text 1. And while you're doing that, maybe your apartment is a little chilly because you have on your AC and you might need a sweatshirt. So go online to
Facts.
blackgirlstexting.com and pick up some merch.
And if you can't get enough of us, you just need more and more, hit that Patreon, patreon.com/blackgirlstexting.
Also, like, major shout out to all the people that are joining our Patreon. I am so grateful for you all. I'm like more invigorated to make Patreon content because like people are actually into it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Patreon, like the episodes are obviously great. Like it's not like we're trying to make them bad or anything, but like the Patreon is like even better.
And we were just solicited for a calendar photo shoot, as well as, what did they ask for, Chelsea? They asked for calendar pics or a photo shoot.
Which I
What?
don't get. Like,
I don't know, some
that
stranger.
nudes?
I think they think this is a Patreon
OnlyFans?
OnlyFans. And you know what?
It could become one.
Oh my God.
For the
I'm
right
see, look, I
price.
don't
Just
be in the group
kidding.
chat enough. I need to tell me about this offline because
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
curious.
I'm
What's
like,
the
how
price?
much? How much?
What kind of
'Cause we
pictures do they want?
could take a couple pics. This could be January.
A whole calendar of us?
This could be February. I'm posing.
Absolutely dead. I need to know more. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, I actually have to run to a work call. Duty calls.
All right.
All
Talk to y'all
right.
later.
Bye
Bye.
bye.